And then I would start with my intro slides. Sorry. So I hope you can see our Scrum Masters of the Universe picture now. So welcome again to our meetups of Scrum Masters of the Universe. My name is Katrin Kamholz and I'm your host today. Our mission. Our goal is to provide a place for Scrum enthusiasts to learn, grow, and flourish in applying Scrum in the world of work. We deeply believe that there is great value in getting out of our silos, cultural silos, thinking silos, or whatever, and connecting with others who are passionate about growth as a Scrum practitioner. Just a quick introduction about our leadership team. There is the awesome Jamie Kriegel, that is the founder of this meetup group. She's participating here today, but she has to multitask, so her camera is off, but she's here. There is the wonderful Mark Metzger here today as well, and myself, Katrin Kamholz. If you'd like to connect, we are on all social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Meetup, and YouTube. We would be very happy if you would join us. While I'm talking, Mark will share the links directly into our chat, so you can easily access us. Just a little sneak peek for the upcoming events. End of October, we have planned, exactly on October 28, Rosemary Galen will be talking about nonverbal communication in Scrum. And we already have scheduled 2 meetings for beginning of the new year in January. On January 11th, we will hear Forever Employable with Jeff Gotthelf. And 21st of January, we can hear Lessons from 15 Years of Teaching Story Splitting with Richard Lawrence. I'm really looking forward to all those events. If you would like to join us, please save the dates.
And I should mention, Katrin, that we're taking a little bit of a break in December, so that's why you're seeing a gap between the end of October and then in January we're taking a bit of a break for the holidays. So, but we will be back and going and ready to go after the first of the year.
Yes, thank you, Jamie, for that information. Last but not least, we would like to thank our sponsors. We are very appreciating that Agile Alliance, Agile AI, and Scrum.org do support us. Thank you so much for your help and support. But let's switch into today's content. Our theme today is OpenSpace Agility, Succeeding with Agile by Improving Employee Engagement by Daniel Mezick. And just to let you know, why is Daniel Mezick here? In 2019, I had the chance to go in Germany to the Scrum Day in Stuttgart. And there I had the chance to meet Daniel live. He was a speaker there, and I had the chance to take a class afterwards with him live, his inviting leadership class. And I was a fan right from the first minute. So I tried to stay connected with him. And this summer I had another class with him. And I just personally really like his facilitation style and the way he shares experience stories together with content that really helps people. And so I highly recommend him. And when I was talking to Mark and Jamie, whom I could bring to this meetups, Daniel was my very first choice. And so I'm really happy he could take the time today and share his content with our community. Just to give you a bit more information about him, he has lots of years of experience of coaching in agile environments and stuff, but he's also the author of 3 very famous books: Inviting Leadership, Culture Game, OpenSpace Agility Handbook. And here on the right side, you can see all his contact information. So if you would like to find him on LinkedIn or his website, his email and Twitter, all the links will be also in the chat. You have easy access to him. Because I was asked before, Daniel is offering a discount for people that are planning to take his classes in beginning of November, OpenSpace in Organizations and OpenSpace Agility. Just to let you know, there's a discount code, but the information is on the Meetup page. But we are not meeting about any advertising today. It's more about the content. There we are for, so I don't want to make it any longer. And Daniel, thank you for coming today. You already have the co-host rights. You are the man of the hour, and the stage is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. It's nice to be here with everyone, and I certainly hope that you get a lot out of this. If I have anything to do with it, then you will, and we're going to find out together what the story is here. So I just want to do a little gallery view of what's going on. Got a whole bunch of people who have their video muted, and that's okay. That's cool. Everything's okay with that. I kind of want to find out from people what was the attraction to coming here today. I'd like you to just put in the chat, if you're willing, your comments about like, hey, what you're hoping to get out of this, what was a big attraction, what was it about the headline or the abstract that grabbed you, and how do we define success for you today? Like, what are you trying to achieve here by being here today? If you could put that in the chat, that'd be super helpful. And I just want to take a moment and kind of read and see kind of what comes in on the everyone chat, and I can see it. So as you type in, I can see what's going on. So the first one is about combination of OpenSpace and agility. I'm a novice. How do I get my teams talking and interacting more? I need to engage my team members more during our Agile ceremonies. Well, yeah, of course you do. Half the time they don't want to be there because no one asked them. It's always mandatory. So it isn't any big surprise that they're looking at their shoes. Okay, curiosity, wanting to learn and improve. And then Tammy, a big old yes there. So it just sounds like she's just happy to be here. Success in being able to bring people together and work in synthesis. Yeah, that's where we're all trying to achieve, right? I've been at this since 2006. Things that I thought I worked, or things that I thought were true 5 years ago, I know are not true now. That means 5 years from now, everything I'm saying is wrong today. So, look at it like that. Anyone else got something that they're looking for today that they want to get out of this session? I'd like to actually would like to draw new insights on perspectives on team engagement strategies. Yeah, well, you're definitely going to get that out of this presentation. I'm starting an Agile team next week, and I want to learn how to keep people engaged. Yeah, and then leadership engagement. Yeah, so that is a huge topic. Okay, so okay, good. This is cool. So I see that there's 31 people all together, and they're all on one screen. How about everyone just flash your video just for 10 seconds so that everyone can see each other just one time? Can you just open your video for 10 seconds so we can see you? And then you can go back and look behind. You don't have to. All right, some people are opening up. Okay, cool. Yeah, just stay open long enough so we can all see each other. I just want to know that there's live people back here behind those names. Okay, all right, people are showing up. And if you don't want to keep it on any longer, you don't have to. I just want to kind of see that people are alive. Okay, this is good. Okay, all right. So these are real people, not bots. Okay, that's good. All right, awesome. So now I want to find out who wants to do breakout conversations and like who doesn't, because we have an hour and a half, right? Well, an hour and 15 now. But do you want to do a breakout or not? Or you just want me to talk the whole time and take questions once in a while? Just put it in the chat. If you want to do breakouts, just go just say B equals Y if you want to do a breakout, and don't say B equals Y otherwise. Just say B equals Y like this into the chat. Just go like that if you want to do breakouts, and if you don't, then don't. Okay, so there's a couple. B equals Y. That was very creative. All right, so a few people do, and most people don't, it looks like. All right, and I know you're alive, and I know you're there. So talk with Q&A is what people want. All right, so that's good. All right, cool. All right, so hey, I'm perfectly good just talking, believe me. I can talk a blue streak. I can talk like all day on this topic and other topics. So I'm good with that. I'm glad I asked, because I don't want to send you into breakouts, because sometimes people never come back from the breakout. They go away and they just never come back. So we don't want that to happen. We don't want to send you, we don't want to send you away. All right, so that's the deal. So we're not going to give you any opportunity to leave. No, you must remain here. No, I'm just kidding. Let's have a little chat about something here. Say yes in the chat if your current Agile implementation, well, first of all, how many of you are employees? Just put a Y into the chat if you're an employee, or E equals Y, just so we can see like how many people are employees, right? You have a sense how many. All right, so a lot of employees. And if you're an external coach or an external Scrum Master, or you do consulting, just put consulting or contractor, a C, or coach in there. If you're an external person who's not an employee per se, but you're still like, an external advisor. Okay, so you have some coaches, you have a whole bunch of employees. Okay, so this is, and then you have a whole bunch of people that are not responding. I want the record to show that some people are not revealing whether they're an employee or a coach. And that's all right. You don't have to, if you don't want to. This gives us some idea of who's here and what we're doing. Okay. How many of you know for a fact that everyone who's involved in your Agile implementation, whether you're an employee or a coach, has consented, that they have said yes, that someone has asked them, do you want to do this or not? And they've answered yes or no. In other words, they've been asked whether they want to participate in changes to ways of working. If you never asked them, just put in an N. And if you have asked them, put in a Y. And if you put in a Y, it means everyone involved has been asked instead of told or voluntold. Okay, so no if nobody ever asked them. Look at all those N's. All of a sudden, we get a lot of engagement around this question. Look at all those N's going by. Okay. All right, well, that's a huge problem. That is a big, huge problem right there. Okay. So I want to show you something. I want to show you something from the Scrum Guide, right? And I'm just going Scrum Guides, and I'm looking at the Scrum Guide here. And I want to show the cover of the Scrum Guide because it's got something really, really juicy to show you. And that is that it says, the rules of the game. See it right there? The rules of the game. All right. So there's something terribly wrong with being forced to play a game. If you're forced to play a game, you never want to play it. If you've ever had a little kid threaten you with guilt to say like, oh, you don't love me if you don't play Chutes and Ladders, or, or you've had someone try to, use some kind of persuasion to get you to do something, to, do whatever it is they want you to do. It's not very much fun. So real games have these properties, okay? They have a clear goal, like Scrum has a clear goal, working software. They have clear rules, like for the product owner to be successful, everyone must support his or her decisions. Good games also provide feedback in red, feedback on your progress. You can know how you're doing. With Scrum, it's the daily Scrum, it's the burn down chart, it's the sprint review, it's the retrospective, right? That's all, those are all progress events. And then opt-in participation is the big deal. Opt-in participation. These are the 4 properties of a good game. Okay, so Scrum has the first 3, the goals, the rules, and the progress tracking, but it's not opt-in at your company. That's the problem. That's why the engagement's low. Okay, So for those of you that are starting off with new Scrum teams and so forth and so on, I want you to invite them. I don't want you to like tell them what to do or inflict your help on them, and ask them how you can help, and try to get them to agree to a few things. Okay. Good games are actually highly addictive and really, really fun because they minister to your sense of control, your sense of progress, and your sense of belonging, right? So when it's opt-in, then you have a sense of control. You're saying yes or no to the game, like the game of Scrum. You understand what I'm saying? And most people need a sense of progress. If you've ever been on the highway and you got off because you were in a big traffic jam and you just wanted to move, you know what I'm talking about. Even if it was someplace you didn't know, you got off so your car could get, your automobile could keep moving, right? Progress. Everyone wants progress. And then belonging. We all want some sense of belonging, and there's belonging when we agree to the rules. So here, let me set up a couple of rules right now. Can we take a break at the top of the hour together for, let's say, 5 minutes, so you can check your phone, have a bio break, maybe grab something to eat, run and do those things, and then run and come back. Could we do that? Could we take a break at the top of the hour for 5 minutes? Is that something people want to do? Are you good with that? I mean, most people need a break, don't they? Don't most people need a break? Yeah. Okay, good. So a lot of people saying yes to the break. All right. So here's the deal. Is there anyone who does not want to take a break at the top of the hour? Show of hands, or type the word me into the chat if you don't want to take a break. Okay, some people don't want to take a break. All right, you don't have to. You don't have to take a break. But the other people get a chance to take a break at the top of the hour if they want to. And we're going to pause for 5 minutes, okay? So you can do whatever you like within 5 minutes. That creates a sense of belonging. We all agree on the rule. We're going to take a break at the top of the hour. See that in green? We all have membership or belonging in the rule because we all agree to the rule. You see how that works? Yeah. There's another rule here, which is nobody has to put on their video unless they want to, right? That's like a cultural norm around here, isn't it? In this group, you don't have to put on your video unless you want to. So see, we all have agreement and membership in that. You see how that works? So when you agree on something, you have membership in something. All right. Now here's the next question I want to ask you folks, because this has everything to do with engagement. Okay. If people do not feel a perceived sense of these things, they will disengage on you. So if there's one thing I want to get across today, it's that you have to, everything you do as a coach or as a Scrum Master should be working on jacking up the feelings of control, the feelings of progress, and the feelings of belonging, because that's what's going to engage people, okay? Games are super engaging, and games generate those feelings through this 4-part structure. What's in it for me? That's the goal. What are the rules? Oh, we don't have to put on our video. We're taking a break at the top of the hour. How are we going to track feedback? Well, feedback will come through the chat, and also as we move through tasks, we move through time, right? Concerning progress, this is what we're going to cover today, right? We're going to do an engagement overview. We're going to cover OSA and OST. We're going to have maybe some breakouts, maybe not. That's a big question mark there, because I think we're not, because people don't want to do them. And then I'm going to leave you with tools and takeaways, right? So this is what we want to achieve in this session. So this is the basic game we're playing. Our goal is to learn something about employee engagement. We already know what the rules are about the video and the break. The feedback comes through the chat. And then nobody has to be here unless they want to. Nobody has to turn on their video unless they want to. Nobody has to take a break unless they want to. And all of that generates a whole lot of this. And that's what engages people. It sounds so simple when I say it, doesn't it? But it's actually really difficult. So here, I want to find out how many people have actually had people who are doing Scrum in their organization examine the Scrum guide and learn what it says inside. Like how many, show of hands, yes or no? No, if you never really socialized the Scrum guide in a formal way. And yes, if executives, stakeholders, team members, managers, and everyone else has read the Scrum guide and understand what it means in your company, right? Just put yes in the chat if you've done that, if you've formally socialized the Scrum guide, read it with people, take their questions, ask them if they want to actually do it, ask executive teams if they understand what it takes to support the Scrum from an executive point of view. Okay, so there's a whole bunch of no's, and of course that's normal. So we know that Scrum's a game, right? We know from the Scrum guide. The Scrum guide says it's a game. See, there it is right there. And yet we're not socializing the rules of Scrum. Do you think that's going to be a little bit of a problem with in the engagement department at all? Yeah, it's going to be a huge problem. Okay, so how are we going to solve this problem? Well, here's what I've been doing. I work with executive teams and we walk through something called the Scrum checklist for executives, okay? And you're going to get this resource after this talk is over. And this resource is actually something that you can use with executives. All right, and here it is right here. Here's the questions. And I walk the executives through this. And you could do this tomorrow. The product owner is one person, not a committee. And then from 1 to 10, where 10 is strongly agree and 1 is I don't agree at all. Statement, our organization demonstrates clear support for this rule. What's your perception of the organization? 10 totally support, 1 doesn't support at all, 5's kind of like in the middle. Go ahead, just for fun, do that right now. Put the number in. Our organization demonstrates overall clear support for the rule that the product owner is one person, not a committee. Put in a 10 if your organization totally supports this idea of the product owner being one person. And put in a 1 if you're not even close. And put in a 5 if you're kind of. And if you have a committee, put a 3 there, or put a 0 actually, because it says not a committee, okay? You can see how low the grades are. You see in the everyone chat, the average grade's about a 4 or 5 or something like this, right? Okay, then the next thing that happens here is we ask them, as a member of the leadership team, I support this Scrum rule 100%. Strongly agree as a 10, strongly disagree as a 1. You don't have to do that now, but we go through these questions out of the Scrum guide with the leadership team. We keep asking the same thing. Rate the organization, rate yourself personally. The product owner may represent the desires of a committee, but those wanting to change the backlog must go through the product owner, right? For the product owner to succeed, everyone must respect his or her decisions. So we go through this with the executive team. And we do that for the product owner role, the Scrum Master role, and the team role. So they understand what are the decision rights of those 3 roles. What can they and can they not do? And then how ready are we to support this idea that the product owner is the only one who prioritizes the backlog, that the product owner is one person, and so forth and so on, right? So I use that. And guess what? A lot of really like not good smelling stuff gets surfaced when you do this, okay? All right, so now let's assume that the leadership team knows how to support the Scrum. And oh, by the way, you do the same thing for Kanban. You walk them through what Kanban is and what it's going to take to support the Kanban as an executive, okay? You might think that the executives don't have to be involved, but they actually do. So, I'm not going to talk about that now because, we don't have a whole bunch of time. Let's get into OpenSpace. What is OpenSpace? OpenSpace is a place where anything can say anything at any time to anyone, and they can go anywhere and do anything. and no one can be the boss of them or tell them what to do. It's a world of invitational behavior where you don't force anyone to do anything. If you invite people and they say no, you don't chase them. You don't, use guilt or shame to get them to do what you want. You don't ask them why they said no or any of that stuff. You just accept their yes or their no, and that's it. So I have a question here. Is anyone here against their will? Everyone who's here voluntarily because they want to be here, just put a V into the chat. And let's see how many V's we get. That'll kind of tell us how many people are watching and also how many people are here because they want to be, instead of having their mom send them or their dad or their boss or whatever. Okay, so that's a whole bunch of V's. So what that's going to do is that's going to definitely give you a sense of control. Okay, here, let me add to that. If this gets really boring, you can leave anytime you want. How many people like that idea? Just put it in the chat. Put an L in the chat if you like the idea that you're free to go and no one's going to chase you, or use guilt or shame, or try to beat you up mentally, psychologically, or any other way. See, isn't that nice? Doesn't that feel good? Yeah, it feels good. It always feels good to be in charge of your own choices, doesn't it? That's what happens when you get an invitation. You're in charge of the yes or the no. And that's very engaging. So if there's one thing I want you to take away from this, is if you want to know how to engage people, do more inviting. Oh, and here's the funny thing. Your invitations should address the goal, the rules, the feedback, and the progress tracking, right? So if I was going to invite you to dinner, hey, the dinner's next Thursday, and the goal is good food, good wine, and great conversation. That's the goal. Hey, you can bring a friend if you want. That's a rule. We're going to start at 6:30. We're going to end around, I don't know, 10:30. We're going to have 6 courses of food and 5 different kinds of wine, right? And you're invited. You need to let me know by Tuesday, by next Tuesday. You see how that works? The invitation, this game structure and the invitation structure are the same. So when you're going to invite people, it requires more rigor. You have to tell them what's in it for them, what's the goal, what are the constraints or rules or guardrails, right? Like show up at 6:30, we're going to leave around 10:30, you can bring a friend if you want. And then how are we going to track progress? Well, the 6 courses of food, the 5 wines, the great conversation, right? We're going to experience that together and experience progress through time and through task, right? Like that. You see how that works? And then you invite them, and then you don't make them go. They go if they want to. So if you want to invite people, if you want to engage people, you need to invite them. So there's a meeting format called OpenSpace, and it looks like this on a timeline. Okay, so this is people sitting in a circle. These are small group sessions. At 1 o'clock, there's 3 sessions. 2 o'clock, there's 3 sessions. So forth for 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, right? Then we converge again in a circle at the end of the day, and a book of proceedings comes out as part of this process through the day, and then we use that as input into action planning, right? All over here, we're preparing the leadership team for what's going to happen. So we do theme development, invitation development. And then we issue the invitation, give it time to get out there, and then people show up because they want to show up. And usually there's a theme. There's a theme on the top. Okay, so the theme states, why we're here and what we're exploring. And then these sessions are actually explorations of the theme. So we converge, we diverge, and we converge. How many people have ever been to a meeting like this at an Agile conference, online or offline? Just put a yes if you've actually been to an OpenSpace event in a conference. Just put yes in the chat if you have. All right, it's only a few people. Yeah, okay, 8, maybe 9, 10, not a whole lot of people. All right, so this format has the power to transform your organization. And you can do this tomorrow and get a whole lot of engagement out of it really, really fast without threatening any of the higher ups of the executives. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to bring OpenSpace to your retrospective process. I want you to, let's say you have iterations every 2 weeks. Every 6th iteration, every 90 days, I want you to go to the big bosses and I want you to say, listen, at the end of the next iteration, we're going to have a whole group scaled retrospective. All the related teams are going to do their retrospectives, their individual retrospectives, and then they're all going to meet together and do a related teams retrospective. It's going to start at 10 o'clock. It's going to end at 2 o'clock. It's 4 hours. Or maybe it ends at 3, so people can have an hour for lunch. And this way you slip it in sideways. You're using the same language you're using today around retrospectives, and you're dramatically going to change the level of engagement across those teams. You want to pick teams that are on the same backlog, that have related products, that have dependencies, and you want to drop them all in the same Zoom meeting or the same room, and you want to have them discuss, you know, what can we do to improve as a group of related teams? And then here's what that looks like, okay? Here's what that looks like. And it looks like this. You know, when we meet face to face, you know, here's this link. This is a whole link of resources about OpenSpace. Here's the link. Whoops, I need to go to the everyone chat. Let's see, where is it? Yeah, there it is. Okay, so here's the link, and here I am sharing the screen. Here's what it looks like in the opening circle. This is the opening circle. In the middle of the room, there's paper, there's pens, and people take their sessions and they write them on that paper and they denounce them to the group. They stand up, they grab the microphone, they say their name, what the session is, when the session is, and they put it on the wall. That's the opening circle. So when I'm talking about that, I'm talking about this. That's what that looks like. Does everyone understand what I'm talking about? And then on the wall, these blank spaces get filled in with sessions. And then people can go to 3 things at 1 o'clock, at 2 o'clock, at 3 o'clock, or whatever number of things there are on the wall. You understand what I mean? Okay, and then this Book of Proceedings is developed where the best ideas actually get documented. Okay, so if you do this in this way, you are going to jack the level of engagement, because here's what you're going to do. You're going to tell people that they don't have to come to it unless they want to. They don't have to. Come and explore the theme. How can we improve as a group of related teams? How can we improve? That's our theme. And make sure you go to the higher ups and you get authorization for people to come for 3 or 4 or 5 hours to this scaled group retrospective, and make sure that they don't feel pressure to be working on stuff during that time. Make sure that if they don't come, it's not because the big boss didn't authorize the space. Right? It's not because they have to get their current work done. It's in other words, the big boss or whoever it is that authorizes this said it was okay to go and spend 4 hours at that event and not to do your regular work, but instead go to this meeting. Okay? You make it invitational, give it a theme, invite everybody, get authorization from the big bosses. You just want 4 hours every 90 days. You're asking for nothing, basically. 4 hours every 90 days. You could trivialize that and you could say, you know, 4 hours is 240 minutes. Okay, we'll divide 240 minutes by the number of minutes in 90 days. It's like 0.00001% of the total time. Do you see what I'm saying? You just make it a joke. It's ridiculous what you're asking. It's almost nothing. You're asking for almost nothing, but you're going to get something tremendous out of this. Okay? All right, so now what I want to do is I want to show you a brief video from an executive who was skeptical. I coached this executive. I'm going to show you this 2-minute video. This executive was trying to change the culture to be a higher performing culture. And hey, guess what? He was forcing it. So guess how long the enthusiasm lasted? It lasted not very long, like not long at all. So he had his moment where he's looking for something new to invigorate and breathe some life into this culture change stuff that he was doing. Okay. He was trying to socialize these 10 core values. And I tried to explain to him that, we might want to crowdsource the theme of these open space events. He's like, no, we're not doing that. The theme is living our values, and that's the theme. And the theme is living our values, and that's the theme. And I in the Zoom meeting, I told him that I wasn't advising that in front of some of his peers and some of his direct reports. And his response was, let me push back on that a little bit. And then he gave me 15 minutes of why it was going to be living our values. Okay, so he wasn't like a totally open person, okay? All right, but here's what happened. He sent me to do, we lined up, we were going to do a couple of open space events with a couple of groups in his 900-person engineering organization. And then it expanded where everyone wanted to get in when they heard about it. So we did 8 open space events all around the world over one month, in India, in Europe. I went to Austria. I went to other countries there, in the United States, the West Coast, the East Coast. And we did 3 online events and 5 face-to-face events all over the world. And 900 people went to these 8 events. Okay. So the guy was skeptical and he was very command control-y, okay, but he was sort of desperate. He was trying to get, bring something alive to what he was doing. And now I want to show you this video, and you tell me what you think about the results from this video. Now, when we did these 8 open spaces, I made it a precondition that if things went well, I needed a testimonial, a candid testimonial from him about that. So we had that agreement going in, and here's what he said. And this is like how good it could get, okay? How good it could get, right? So I'm gonna go and share this, and we're gonna watch it for 2 minutes, okay? So here's the thing. Can everyone see that dude right there? Yeah, are we good? All right, so now we're gonna listen to the testimony of this command control-y executive vice president with 900 people under the span of his authority, okay? He's bringing 8 open spaces worldwide. Look at what he says.
We're in Burlington, Massachusetts. You're at Nuance Communications. My name's Jake O'Leary. I run an R&D organization that's just over 900 people globally. We produce AI, speech, virtual assistants, and other capabilities. A little over a year ago, we started a journey of redefining our culture. I saw that we got to a point where our success and progress started to come to a bit of a halt. And I just so happened to crash into the open space concept, attending an event. Obviously, culture takes a long time to manifest and change within an organization. The light bulb just went on that in open space is a way to drive this cultural transformation, to create the culture that we're looking for. And from the moment we did it, everyone was engaged and it just worked out. It was positive. I think people were surprised. I was surprised, to be honest with you. The moment that we got past the open circle, the moment that the board started to fill up and people started to submit topics, and then we started to see what I consider healthy topics and engagement was there, I immediately, obviously, I felt some sense of relief. And then by the wrap-up circle, at the end of the event, and after having to attend it personally, hearing people's closing comments, it turned to me in terms of happiness and joy. It was a success, and it was a success in that here was a new approach to solving problems and bringing people together to collaborate and share ideas. And this new approach, yielded benefit. The people that participated in it saw value. The people that participated in it contributed. And I then started to build more champions for this open space idea ultimately. And with each open space event, and as each leader sat through those events, one after the next, I kept hearing about the success stories, and it just repeated itself each and every event. That was the moment I knew we had something special. And so you had to kind of embrace the fact that in this situation, let the organization lead the way forward and let leaders rise up to drive things forward. It's extremely important not just to show the organization that leadership cares, leadership's present, leadership's just as engaged, but I actually think it's critically important for the leader themselves.
So that's how good it can get. Okay, that was a very command control-y guy, and you saw his testimony. Happiness and joy, engagement was there. He found the whole exercise to be useful for his entire leadership team, not just the people in the engineering teams. And you can see like how good it could be. All right. So that's the kind of thing that you can get. That's the kind of thing that can happen. Okay, and you set up the conditions where people can feel these perceived senses of control, progress, and belonging. That's what open space delivers. Okay, and the reason why it delivers that is because open space has a game structure. The goal is the exploration of the theme. The rules is nobody has to go to it unless they want to, and it starts at this time and it ends at that time, and there's food. And then the feedback is like through time, through task, right? And it's opt-in participation. All right, so this is what actually is going on. Now, the last thing I want to show you before I take a question or two is the stuff on Gallup and engagement. Okay, so the Gallup organization is an old polling organization, and they have a focus on employee engagement. Here's that link right here that I'm going to show you right now. And you can go to this page and you can grab some of these articles and you can show them to executives, okay? And you can grab that video that I just showed you and you can show it to the executives, okay? So I'm giving you some of the tools. Engagement is associated with every good thing. Show of hands, has anyone ever seen a high performance team that was disengaged? Just put in yes or no. Go ahead. What do you say? Have you ever seen a disengaged high performing team? I don't think anyone has. Well, of course not, because disengagement's not associated with anything good. We all know that, don't we? Yeah, so how are we going to engage people? We're going to engage them through the creation and the definition, and here's a video link. We're gonna do it through a game structure. Okay, listen, this is called the Scrum Masters of the Universe, isn't it? Yeah, all right, so let's focus on Scrum. Scrum has a clear goal, working software. Scrum has lots of very clear rules, like for the product owner to be successful, everyone must respect his or her decisions, right? And Scrum has many ways to track progress. Can we all agree to that? So Scrum has three, in our world, it has 3 of the 4 properties of a good game. It has great goals, great rule definition, and great feedback definition, but it's not opt-in for your team members, okay? That's the problem. That's why you have low engagement, because you're not asking people what they want to do. You're not setting it up as a good game. It's a crappy game. It's a game they have to play whether they like it or not. So how much fun do you think that's going to be? Okay. So with open space, we change that around and we say you don't have to come to the meeting unless you want to. And we're going to explore a theme together. And we're going to create a book of proceedings that we'll use to do some actions when we come out of this thing. Okay. So basically, I'm telling you, everyone needs to feel these things. And if you scored your organization where 10 10 means total control, total sense of progress, and total belonging, and one means none of these things, how would you rate your organization's perceived senses of these things? How do you think people in your organization would score these three things from a 10 to a 1? Like with their feelings of control, their feelings of belonging, their feelings of progress. What do you think they would give as scores? Put the score in the chat, what you think the score would be out of your organization for these things. If you ask people, how much control do you feel? Score it a 10 if you have total control. In progress, how many people feel strong progress? Put a 10 if you feel total progress, 1 if you feel no progress. Same thing with membership and belonging. Yeah, look at those numbers. They're all kind of low. Look, the average is like a 5 or maybe a 6.5 or something. That's your problem. Is you're killing. Oh, by the way, these things are all associated with psychological well-being. If you don't have low sense of control, low sense of progress, low sense of membership, belonging, that's a recipe for depression. People that are depressed have low senses of these things. Okay. So how are we going to do this? It was a question that came into the chat. What happens if 2 team members don't want to participate? Here's what we do in OpenSpace Agility. OpenSpace, first of all, does anyone have any questions on this? Questions on the structure of OpenSpace, the timeline of OpenSpace? Timeline. Questions on this? Who's got a question?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was on mute. Hey, good to see you, Daniel.
Yeah, nice to see you too.
I had a question on what does the process look like from the Book of Proceedings and kind of filtering down into actionable items? What does that look like?
Yeah, so we don't have a whole bunch of time to go through that, but if open space in an organization, you're always going to generate the Book of Proceedings, and you're going to coach the leader through how they're going to behave after the meeting and how they're going to process the proceedings with the people who showed up big in this meeting, the emergent leaders. So the emergent leaders are identified, the executive executive leadership system welcomes those folks into helping to move the Agile adoption forward, and you coach the executive through that. So that's sort of the high-level summary of what happens. Okay, so now let's talk about OpenSpace Agility, because I want to answer the question, what happens if 2 team members don't want to do it? Okay. The best thing that I've found, first of all, this is OpenSpace Agility, and this is an OpenSpace event, and this is an OpenSpace event, and this in between is 45 to 90 days, okay? So we open in OpenSpace and we do experiments and we do iterations and we adapt and we inspect on a 45 to 90 day period. We ask people to suspend their disbelief and play along for 45 to 90 days. We open in OpenSpace, we close in OpenSpace, and it's temporary. What we ask them for is temporary. So we would ask them to do Scrum for 90 days, and then we'll inspect that. And if it's bad, we're going to drop it like a bad habit and try something else. Like, is your goal Scrum or is your goal improvement? You see what I'm saying? Scrum is just a means to an end. It's not Scrum you're after. It's improvement that you're after. So Scrum might help. Let's all find out together with a 90-day experiment where we're going to inspect it. In the same way everyone could say whatever they wanted here, they can also say whatever they want right here. That's how I do it. And I coach the executives through that. And, that's how we get big results. Okay, so do you want to watch another vid from an 8,000 person German company that's using OpenSpace Agility across the whole organization to improve? You want to watch that video? It's a female woman, is the chief operating officer of Datev. You might know the company if you're a German. Datev. Datev is a IT and services firm, and they are moving to the cloud, and they've got to do it in a hurry. So to engage everyone in the company, they are engaging in waves of change that are 90 days long. Okay, and they're using this structure, which is the OpenSpace Agility structure that begins in OpenSpace and ends in OpenSpace. Okay, and this is how you get people engaged. So let's go watch that video now, and then I'll take a question or two, and you can tell me if it's working for you, right? All right, so here I'm gonna let's listen to Julia Bangerth from Datev, right? So we're gonna listen to her. Can everyone see that woman? Can you see her? Okay, here we go. We're gonna go for 4 minutes, right? And then we're gonna take a break. Here we go. Well, I'm gonna skip right to the front. You gotta get to where she's actually talking. Hold on a minute.
I am the COO and CHRO of Datev. Datev is a German IT company with more than 8,000 employees and headquarters in Nuremberg. We produce software for tax consultants, attorneys, auditors, and their clients. In 2019, Datev started a company-wide transformation process to align with value creation and to put the customer and their needs into the absolute center of focus. We have been a traditional software developing company with excellent on-premise products for over 5 decades. Now, our big challenge is to become a successful cloud company, offering a whole ecosystem evolving around managing business processes for our customers. In order to sustainably change our processes, we started to encourage experiments inside the company. We learned to carefully inspect the results and adapt in constant iterations. After a while, we found that it is helpful to have a certain framework for those experiments. This is when we got to know OpenSpace Agility. The most important aspect for us is that this concept offers an invitation to every employee. Everyone is able to participate and engage in the change process. We want to become a successful cloud and ecosystem provider. And I am absolutely convinced that in order to successfully do so, we depend on the bright ideas and engagement of every employee. Sustaining a culture where all our employees are encouraged to contribute, this is where the concept of OpenSpace Agility has profoundly helped us at Datev in the last years. Yet still it's important to also always adjust concept to your own needs. During the process, we made a few small adjustments to the framework. That's why we call it OpenSpace Datev now. OpenSpace Datev means for us to not only offer a space for a plurality of opinion, but to also consciously utilize the diversity within our company and to learn from one another in order to find the very best solution for all the small and big challenges on our way. I am very excited that our third cycle of OpenSpace Datev is soon to start.
Well, there you go. So there's yet another story from yet another executive who has found a solution that actually works. Now, I want to say one thing. We have 2 minutes before the break. We're going to take a 5-minute break, right? It's not 4 and it's not 6. It's 5, right? It's 5 minutes, right? And 5 is the number. So we have 2 minutes. I want to say something here. Around the world, in the Agile civilization, the Agile community, the Agile industry, we haven't been led very well. We haven't been led very well at all. We haven't been taught that executives need to understand about how people need to have these senses if they're going to engage and how engagement is essential. Nobody in the institutions has taught us that. None of the thought leaders has said anything at all in warning, except for Martin Fowler, who warned in 2006 that forcing practices on people was the worst thing you could possibly do. He also said it again in 2018 in his Agile Australia keynote, where he called it a travesty, like a travesty of justice, like a crime to push practices on people without their consent, okay? People want to do great work. You create the conditions for that by inviting them into a space where they can speak their mind. We haven't been taught this. Instead, the entire Agile industry has optimized on transactions instead of transformations. That's what's actually happened, okay? And that's a crime. So has anyone ever heard of this, this acronym, POSIWID? You can go look it up on the web right now. It means the purpose of a system is what it does. The purpose of a system is what it does. And the purpose of the Agile industry right now is to generate transactions, not transformations, okay? We haven't been led properly. We have no one to blame but ourselves, and it's time to take leadership into our own hands. So I want you to bring on invitation, opt-in consent, human agency, and real change, right? And I want you to do that by using OpenSpace, right? Understand how OpenSpace works, bring it in through the retrospective process, and then bring on OpenSpace Agility to periodically inspect what's going on every 90 days or so. Okay, this is going to dramatically improve your results, and it's not going to cost you anything. It's ridiculously simple. So we're right at the top of the hour. Now we're going to take 5 minutes. Now, I didn't say this yet, but the deal is if you're here and you take the break, we're hoping that you'll come back. Right. So right now there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 by 6 is 36. There's 40 people here. Mary, I'll answer the question. How can you introduce this in an ongoing transformation as soon as we come back from the break, right? So 5-minute break, and then I'll take a bunch of questions and I'll give you a bunch of tools and also, give you more resources and stuff that will, you can meet the others who are doing this, not just me. Okay. All right, let's take our break. 5 minutes, not 4, and not 6. It's 5. See you in 5. Looks like you still have a lot of people. Yeah. Hey, actually, we have a net gain here. We gained somebody somehow. That's kind of crazy. Okay, good. All right, awesome. All right, so now I want to take questions. And before I do this, I want to say, everyone who's here is going to get a document. It looks like this. It's going to have a bunch of links on it that has a whole bunch of resources and stuff that will help you to get done what you need to get done, okay? And it has a lot of other stuff that I haven't talked about yet. But this general idea of getting agreement from executives on what it's going to take to support the Scrum, to support the Kanban, and then bringing in OpenSpace through the retrospective process, and then inviting the executive to see what's going on with those related teams when they do this thing in OpenSpace, and they see the level of engagement, and then you bring it on across the whole transformation where you do an OpenSpace every 90 days that's highly authorized by the big bosses, the time and the space. That's going to have a dramatic effect on what gets done. Did you see these two executives in the videos? One of them had 900 people under his span of authority. And of course, Julia, she was the chief operating officer of the whole company, 8,000 people. Okay, so this is not some theoretical thing. The last thing I want to say is that Julia called it a framework. OSA is not a framework. OSA is an engagement model, a model for building engagement. You add it to what you're already doing. You add it to your framework, okay? It's not a framework in itself. It's the missing link in your framework. See, all the frameworks, Scrum included, here's what they say. Oh, just do Scrum and everyone's gonna engage. No, they're not. It doesn't work that way. Or with SAFe, oh, we use SAFe, we had dramatic levels of engagement, increase. Yeah, then you had exponential decay because you were forcing the people the whole time, right? So you got this little blip in engagement, but it didn't last. And that's when you took the measure, when you got the blip. So now let's answer some questions, and there's some in the chat. And anyone who wants to ask a question, just put it in the chat if you like. Okay, Mary Lannigan asks, how can you introduce this into an ongoing transformation? Immediately and without further delay, I want you to introduce it into the retrospective process. most of your problems have to do with these crushing system dependencies that teams have across teams and across their products. So I want you to get those people periodically together and answer the question, how can we improve? How can we reduce our dependencies? What do we need to be focusing on across all the teams for improvement in the next 90 days? And then bring executives in to witness what's going on in that meeting and let them see it. Okay, that's the number one thing I would do. And then the second thing I would do is I would do remedial training with executives on what it's going to take to support the Scrum, the Kanban, the overall agility. Make sure they understand they can't just fund it and then walk away. That doesn't actually work. They have to be engaged in the process because everyone's listening to what they say and watching to see what they do. And if the executives aren't in on the transformation beyond the funding, well, why should I be in? They don't give a shit, so why should I give a shit? See the problem? So you have to teach the executives, no, you got to tell stories, got to support the thing. If some higher up tries to put something on a team's Kanban board and it hasn't been characterized by work item type, you know, the person at the boundary there who's managing the Kanban board needs to say no. And the person who tried to use their authority to push on that team needs to be told not to do that again. Okay? And things like around Scrum, for the product owner to be successful, everyone must respect his or her decisions. Let's get that going. What's it going to take to support that? From an executive point of view, the executives need to be the boundary managers. They need to be enforcing the boundary constraints, the rules. Okay, the rules in the game, they need to be enforcing that stuff around Scrum, around Kanban. Most organizations doing Kanban are using it like a task board. Okay, let's do a test right now. How many people are doing Kanban of any kind? Put a yes in the chat if you're doing any kind of Kanban whatsoever across anywhere in your enterprise. Kanban? There's probably loads of people doing Kanban in this group, right? We haven't gotten a single response yet. That's people must still be away. That must be what's going on. Well, everyone's using Kanban, but I tell you what right now, I bet you less than 1/3 of those implementations are implementing work item types. That's the first rule of Kanban, is that nothing can go on the board until it's assigned a work item type, until it's tagged with the work item type. This is a boundary management thing in Kanban. Nobody's doing it. So is it any surprise your Kanban is really crappy? Because nobody agreed. So you got to get agreements. Okay. All right. So now let's answer the question. How do you apply that to a 30-minute retro each sprint? 30-minute retro? I mean, that's way too short. How long are your sprints? 1 day or something? 2 days? I mean, come on. You get the longer. You need to expand your retro, or you read the Scrum guide. Go back to the Scrum guide and find out how long your retrospective's supposed to be. Okay. All right. Next one. How can this be incorporated into SAFe? Yeah. Well, okay. So the greatest thing about SAFe is that even though it's not invitational, it does get everyone in one room through the PI planning process. And that's actually a tremendous plus. It's probably the strongest aspect of the entire framework, is that whole group event. All right. Now listen, I covered OpenSpace, I covered OSA, I covered gaming. I tied that all in with the Scrum guide, right? I want to show you one more thing before we go. And that's hold on a second. Remember at the beginning of this presentation, I told you that I could talk a blue streak, right? So now you know that that's true. I mean, I could just keep going for a long time. Listen, here's what you really need. You need clarity of authorization. What can I and can't, what do I have decision rights on or not? You need explicit agreement about those decision rights. So if a manager or an architect or some other person interferes in the Scrum, there's explicit agreement about where the boundaries are. And of course, boundary management around the clarity of authorization. Boundary management, explicit agreement, and clarity of authorization, that all comes out of good Scrum, okay? And then common knowledge is, you know that I know that you know, that comes from whole group process like PI planning or OpenSpace. These are the eight patterns of open business agility. The keystone pattern is leadership invitation. And these other patterns support that. So empirical approach, that's all of Agile. Whole group process, that's OpenSpace and other whole group events. Common knowledge, that's what's generated out of whole group events. Boundary management, explicit agreement, clarity of authorization, those are just all related to authority and authorization. So we teach these things in a class called the 8 Open Patterns of Business Agility. And this is actually what you're shooting at when you use Scrum, when you use OpenSpace. You want all this stuff to be true. Okay, and interaction protocols I'm going to skip over for now because we don't have a whole bunch of time. But basically, you want those high-functioning habits, those high-functioning behaviors, those high-functioning patterns. Okay, now there's a question, how to learn more about OpenSpace Agility. What I want you to do is go to this website right here. This is the whole book. We wrote a book called, OpenSpace Agility. But you can go to this website and basically look. I'm going to show you the thing right now. So sharing the screen. Can everyone see that? This is the website. It's got a menu up here. What is OpenSpace? I already showed you that link. You can go there. If you click this thing, you get to the big picture. Can everyone see that big expanded diagram? So this is actually a depiction of this. Okay, but it's much more detailed. And this is the first OpenSpace meeting. This is the second OpenSpace meeting. You can click around in here. So if you want to know, like, what about preparation? What about leadership prep? You click on leadership prep, you're going to see a whole narrative, like a book on leadership prep. Look at all that information. Okay, so it's just like the SAFE big picture. Can you see that big diagram again? Yeah. And if you want to learn, like, okay, what is this? What are these roles down here? You know, what are these informally authorized leaders? You know, what's that all about? You can click through and you can learn. Okay, so here you can see what that is. So I want you to go to the OpenSpace Agility site and learn about it. All right, that's where you can go. So another question or two I can take? So I want to point out that I teach classes in this stuff, and so do other people. We teach it through the Open Leadership Network, and we're offering everyone who registered for this session 40%, almost half off. If you want to go to OpenSpace and learn about OpenSpace and organizations, if you want to learn about OSA, OpenSpace Agility, if you want to know about the things that I've taught here, the 8 patterns, you can just go to this place right here and go and look at the schedule and use the code Scrum Masters of the Universe, SCO2. It's like go-to, but with a sk in front of it. All right, so you can go there. And the next upcoming OpenSpace class, the next OSA class, you should take them back to back. You're invited to come to those classes. I want to say one more thing about the classes. I'm going to put this code also in the Acting as an Executive Coach class. And I want to tell you why. If you can't access executives, you can't influence them. And if you can't influence them, you'll never actually get system-wide change to happen. You've got to be good with executives if you're going to have any shot at enterprise transformation. So in the Acting as an Executive Coach, I teach it with this guy, Peter Fischbach, who has 15 years of teaching acting experience and almost 20 years of acting experience. And we both collectively have 25 years of executive coaching between us. So we teach you how to actually do this and how to become a trusted advisor to the executives in your company. And hey, big surprise, it starts with inviting them to learn something. Okay, so if you're interested in that stuff, I'm happy to teach it. Which classes should you take back to back? I would take the OpenSpace and Organizations class first, and then take the OpenSpace Agility class. And then on the 30th of November, there's acting as an executive coach. And if you want to know anything about it, Katrin's been to that class, so she knows all about it and what actually goes on there. And there's a lot of like stuff that you're going to learn that you're not going to maybe have heard anywhere else. So for example, how many people in this place right now have ever had an executive do something else or look away while you're talking to them about something important? Haven't we all had that? Because they're super time sensitive, you know, they don't have a lot of time. So they think everyone else is supposed to multitask like them. They have no idea that developers need flow time. Like to them, it's like a foreign concept because they don't have any. They don't even have time to go to the bathroom. So when you show up, when all the demands on their time, and you say you got something important and they look away, they're just doing their job. But here in the acting as an executive class, executive coach class, we teach you when you're talking and they look away, you are to stop talking and demand their attention. And there's a reason why. We explain it in the class. It's awkward. It's something you're going to have to get used to. But once you train them, they'll give you their full attention when you're talking. Okay? You're training them how to treat you, and you want them to treat you as a trusted advisor, not the hired help. Now, it might shock you to know that consultants routinely waste executives' time. Did I mention that yet? I've had that told to me by so many executives. Consultants routinely waste my time. Yeah, you know what? You know how the time's being wasted? When you're saying yes to them all the time and telling them what they want to hear because you're afraid of them. You have to learn how to challenge these executives. That's what's going to make you stand out from the others. Okay, so first you get trust, you become predictable and reliable, and then you give them a little nudging once in a while. You challenge them a little bit, and you know what? They totally appreciate that because you're not like the others. You're not afraid of them. You're not afraid of their authority. You understand? So I hope that helps. Now I want to, yeah, can I just take the acting as an executive coach? Absolutely, you can. And actually, that one class is going to do more for your coaching than anything else that I can think of. And I want to say why. Again, it's the Agile leadership that's so crappy, the Agile industry leadership that we've all settled for. Okay, so for 10 years, we've been told, oh, a coach should be able to mentor, facilitate, coach, and teach, right? If you can do those 4 things, you're going to be a great coach. That's what we've been all told for 10 years, right? It's all bullshit. All you're going to do there is local optimizations. You're going to be doing feel-good coaching with teams, but you're not going to change the system. To change the system, you need access to executives. And to get access to executives, they have to trust you. And to trust you, you have to be predictable and reliable and have a plan for demonstrating that to them. You also have to lead them through learning, and they have to willingly come along with you. You can't make them. So you invite them into important learning experiences like reading a book or watching a video or listening to a podcast, and then you have a conversation with them about how the content in the podcast will help them solve some of their most pressing problems. Okay, now that executive will bring you into the leadership system, and you'll meet the others, and that exec will tell the others that you are a person that they need to listen to, because every time you say something or offer something to teach, problems are getting solved. That's what the executive is going to be saying. Oh, Jen had me, she had me watch this one video. It was really awesome. I solved an important problem after we had that conversation, after I watched the video. And now she sometimes asks me to read things, and I read them. Why? Because she never wastes my time. It's always something good. Okay. Once that happens, you're on your way. We teach that in the acting as class. Okay. So I hope that helps everyone. We have about 7 minutes to go. So if you want to ask questions about the classes, if you want to ask questions about the content today, if you want to ask questions about anything else, I'm ready to take your questions for the next 5 minutes or so. So who actually has a question? And if you're still here, how about you just flash your video just for 10 seconds to show that you're still here, that you're really here and not just like outside. So Mark, yes, thanks to all of you, Jen. Okay, I used your name in vain there, Jen. I hope you didn't mind. Okay, so there are a lot of live people. This is good. Hi, Eric. Hi, Zane. Nice to see you guys. Patrick is here. Okay. Jun Long is here. Looks like he's in San Francisco. Yeah. Okay. And the others, well, maybe they're just shy. We don't know.
Hello, Daniel.
It's very nice to see you all. Now, I just want to take your questions. Any questions that you've got? I mean, ask me anything that you like. Because now realize you're going to get this. You're going to get this resource. It's got a whole bunch of links on it. Okay, and it's multiple pages. So it's got all kinds of links and goodies in it, the discount codes and everything else. And I'll put the video links in there too for you. And the organizers will make sure that you get it. How about I take one of your questions now? Who's got a question? You can just hold your hand up on the video if you like, or you can put it in the chat, either way. Yeah, Eric, what do you got?
Yeah, I was typing it. I was trying to find out if you have a comprehensive training, because I mean, I'm looking at the list of all the trainings that you have, and I mean, it's tough for someone who's wanting to move into that space to know, okay, this is where I need to start, this is what I need to do next and whatnot. Or I mean, knowing, okay, this is the whole package, that this is what's gonna take and cost me and stuff.
Well, first of all, probably the first class to take is the 8 patterns of open business agility, because that actually describes what your Scrum is going to get you, what your OpenSpace is going to get you, what your Kanban is going to get you. Those things are just means to an end. You really want the clarity of authorization. You want the clear agreements between the teams, between the executives and the teams. You want this. You want boundary management too, right? So, like, if you've ever had people pulled off a Scrum team, you should be able to go to the executive and get that straightened out. So that the patterns class is important. It's not about practices, it's about patterns. So see, patterns are the missing link between principles and practices right here, patterns. That's what we teach. So you got values and principles from the manifesto. Okay, what are the patterns? Right? And then how are those patterns expressed as practices? So we have a tyranny of practice frameworks in the world today. Now let's move upstream. Let's focus on the patterns that good habits will get us. That's what we teach there. And then the acting as class is a good class to take. And then if you're going to go into OpenSpace, I would do OpenSpace and organizations and then the OpenSpace Agility. Do them one after the other. Because OpenSpace Agility, which is this, right? This assumes that you already know this. Right, so what I'm holding up here is an expanded version of that, right? So there's 2 of those in this diagram. So go with the OpenSpace and organizations and then OpenSpace Agility. And of course, 40% discount. That means you're gonna save like, on any class, you're saving half. It's gonna be like more than $400 that you're saving when you take this discount. And when I get off, I'll put it through all the classes. So if you want to sign up, the code is there. The code is there right now for the OpenSpace related classes, but I need to put it on the other courses as well. Can I take another Can I take another question or two?
Daniel, I have one question for you.
Okay.
Daniel, I've seen your all presentation style in entire session. Okay, so I like is for the entire session, I was curious. Okay, what you are saying next? What you are saying next? Okay, from start to end, for not for single second, I move here and there. Okay, my focus was on you. So whatever your style is there, okay, training style. Okay, so how to learn that?
Yeah. So actually, I'm glad you're asking this question because I do have a class for that. Let me see. Yeah, it's coming up on the 8th of November. It's called Connect and Communicate. And it's all about like how to teach online. So here's that class. I've been teaching online since 2016. And here's the actual link to that. And you can sign up, you can signal interest for the class by going to the schedule page, which is where I'm offering it. And then look at these testimonials that I got. These are testimonials from famous Agile coaches, right? These are people who you know. Guys like Christopher Avery. Look at this beautiful testimonial from him. Bob Sarney, Jeff Stewart, Bob Galen. A lot of people know Bob Galen. These guys all came to my class. So I'm very flattered that you would say that, you know, I held your attention the whole time. In the how to teach online class, I teach hundreds of small things to do and not do when you're in front of the camera. So for example, when I shared my screen, I never share a screen for more than 30 seconds. Why? Because it's a recipe for total disengagement after about second 31. I always pull it down and I go back to my face. Once in a while, you'll see me come in like this on the camera, and you saw me do it a couple times today, right? And I look right in your eyes through the camera. Those are all things that come out that I've been doing for years that I teach in that class. Also, the use of hand-drawn diagrams. People love hand-drawn diagrams. They just do. I have no idea why, but people like the hand-drawn stuff. So we're right at the end. We're just out of time. I don't want to take any more time. I have to go away now. Expect to receive a document with a whole bunch of links and goodies in it. I hope to see you in some of my classes, and thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. I hope I delivered something valuable to you. So Catherine, if you wanna, it's all yours.
Yes, thank you so much,
Thanks,
Daniel.
Daniel.
It was definitely a very valuable session today. And lots of people had written in the chat they would like to have the recording and the document you showed. So once I have the link with the video and your document, I'm very open to share it with everybody of the Scrum Masters of Meetup. And Daniel, thank you so much. It was very entertaining, very engaging, and great content. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me. Thanks for inviting me. Appreciate it.